Alfred Mahan said that you have to, in order to be a big empire, you have to have a massive modern navy so you can patrol the world. Teddy Roosevelt was one of the people that read that book, and he really believed Alfred Mahan. He was a student of history himself. Okay, if you remember, at the age of like 8, he was reading really advanced economic books that college students read and stuff like that. So Teddy Roosevelt wants America to be the greatest nation in the world because he wants to be the greatest person that ever lived, and that means he's going to have to be the greatest leader in the world, right? So he said we have to build a new navy, okay? And the navy that we built was the most modern navy in the world. But we didn't build the biggest navy in the world, and there's a reason for that. If you remember earlier in the chapter, I said that Britain had a law, and the law said that our navy, their navy had to be twice the size of the next biggest navy in the world. So if America had built a bigger navy than Britain, then we would have entered an arms race with Britain. So Teddy Roosevelt says, you know, if we can't have the biggest navy, we'll just have the best navy, okay? So he hires a bunch of designers, and they design the most modern ships ever built on the planet. And he calls this group of 12 ships the Great White Fleet. They were all painted white, okay? Now, Teddy also said, speak softly but carry a big stick, okay? The Great White Fleet is Teddy's big stick. This is America's big stick that he's going to whop you on the head with if you don't listen to him. Now, Teddy gets this passed. The whole fleet is built. It costs millions and millions of dollars to Congress. And then Teddy goes into Congress one day, and he's addressing both houses. And he says, I want to take the Great White Fleet on a trip around the world to show the other nations how strong America is. Again, he's showing the big stick to the entire world, right? Speak softly but carry a big stick. So Congress said, you must be nuts. We just spent tens of millions of dollars to update the fleet, and you want to take it for a joyride for a few $1,000,000 more. No. So Teddy did something that is one of my favorite stories about him, shows exactly who he is. Teddy ordered the Great White Fleet to leave port and to go through Europe and around Africa and everything. He was going on this worldwide tour without the permission of Congress. Well, by the time the fleet hits India, okay, India, China, that area, the fleet ran out of coal. No more fuel. And this is where it gets funny. At that point, Teddy Roosevelt walks back into Congress and addresses both houses again. And he says, I know you guys told me not to go on this big worldwide tour, but I did. And now the Great White Fleet, America's crown jewel here, is out of coal. And it is sitting off the coast of China. He said, I dare you not to fund their trip back. And then he walked out of Congress. So Congress now either has to lose their new multi-million-dollar fleet or pay a couple of $1,000,000 in coal for them to get back. So Congress paid the couple of $1,000,000 to fuel up the fleet. And when they did, guess which way Teddy went home, or told them to go home? He said, continue around the world. So he got his whole trip paid for by Congress. Okay? So this is the Great White Fleet. Nice colorized photograph. Huge cannons on this thing. This is one of the first ships that could actually shoot a shell farther than the horizon. So if you're out on the ocean, it could shoot a shell that it was so far that you couldn't even see where it hit. Okay, that's pretty crazy. So that's the Great White Fleet for you. Okay, let's see. So the Panama Canal was very important here. We used the Great White Fleet to go through that thing, and now we're the dominant superpower in the world as far as the Navy goes, with the exception of Great Britain. Okay. Now, even though we had the most modern fleet, it still would not have been wise of us to go after Great Britain at this point. Okay, we were not at war with Britain. We were not trying to go to war with Britain. We were just trying to become a powerful nation. All right, so the canal was a major military and commercial asset. The U.S. military used the canal during World War I, World War II, Korea, the Korean conflict, which is technically not a war, but it was, and the Vietnam War. And again, we gave it back in the 1970s under the very weak president, Jimmy Carter. Okay? So that's it for that video.